Okay, so I got asked by a friend to do product photography, and I'm going to do product photography for him to sell an item on Kijiji. And basically, the item that I chose is pretty cool. He just asked, hey, I got something to sell. Do you want to take photos? And I said, why not? So I'm going to use it for this this segment right here. Basically, I've got a Dragon Ball, and I'm going to make it stand out and kind of glow. I'm going to make it pop. So basically, here's my setup that I've used to kind of enhance the image quality of this Dragon Ball other than just putting it in a box and just taking pictures. I kind of added a little bit of flair to it just to make it stand out a lot more. So here's my setup. I have the mirror and the Dragon Ball on a stand, and I have it set up like a display, and then my backdrop I have it set up with a cloth over a board, a blanket, so it kind of adds blackness to the mirror so it's not just reflecting off of everything. And then I have my flash, my Godox flash, that's getting signaled by my flash on top of my camera, because I have transmitters, but the transmitters are such picky to set up. I'm not setting up the transmitters, but this flash is going to trigger my flash. So I have it set up that way. So this is the Dragon Ball that I'm doing product photography on. It's a life-size Dragon Ball, and it's the 5-star Dragon Ball. I actually set the item on a quartz crystal like display cabinet that I had, and I think it'll add a little bit of flair to that. And as you can tell, I set it on a mirror, and in the background you can see a little bit of black cloth. I will take full advantage of that black cloth when I'm positioning myself to take photos of it, and it's going to add to the effect of the mirror. Okay, so this is my settings on my Godox flash. This is the Godox TT685c for Canon. My focal length is 105 millimeters, and it's on manual zoom at ETTL. I have it set for channel 2 because my flash is channel 1 and it's triggered for that, and my slave is A, and I have it set for a slave because my flash on top of my camera is going to set this flash off. So this is the flash that I'm using, and I also have a diffuser at the top, so it diffuses the light so it's not as harsh, and I also have my exposure setting to -1. So, and I have that flash set to my object. Okay, so this is the back of my screen. I'm using the 77D with a 105 Sigma macro. I find I can pull up some decent detail with this. Now I'm going to switch my settings down to 2.8 and use the full aperture. It is a 2.8 full, so I'm trying to get it as open as possible. My aperture, of course, and I'm setting the shutter speed to 125, and I got my ISO to 200, but I'm going to change that. I'm going to set it to 100 because the lowest ISO possible reduces the most noise. And I'm going to take advantage of my flash that's set up, the Godox, and I'm basically going to set my Godox flash to +1, and it's basically going to make it so this item will pop. So I'm going to take a picture, and you'll see what kind of results I'm aiming for. So I can see in the back of my LCD screen that this is the positioning that I want. I'm not going to use the rule of thirds because this is a product, so I'm going to set this dead center in the center so I can have everything in detail. But I'm taking advantage of the mirror, and I'm going to show the reflection, and I have to move it to a certain angle just so I can get it set to the middle and that. So now I'm going to switch from full back screen, so now I know what my composure is, and I'm going to look at my EVF and select the focal point. And when I select the focal point, I'm going to select it a little bit off-center, and then I'm going to take advantage of my flash and the mirror. I'm going to select the center of the Dragon Ball, because that's what I want in focus. I'm going to snap a couple pictures. My pictures turned out okay. I want to get my positioning just a little bit better, so I'm going to reset my focal point to up a little bit higher, actually down a little bit lower. I'm going to set it just so it's perfect in the middle. Now I'm going to take a couple pictures of the product. So that worked out pretty good. And I'll show you a couple things in Lightroom that you can do to clear out that screen, because the screen is kind of a wonky condition. But I'm going to get a little bit closer and I'm going to take a little bit more singular shots of the product. Now remember, I'm working with a 105 prime, so I can't adjust my focal point, but that's okay because I have a lot of room to work with. And this is a macro lens, so I'm going to remove this product here and just take a picture, a nice picture of just the product. And I set my focal point and I snap away. So remember, I got to take full advantage of that black in the background. I always check the back of my screen. It's called gimping, but I always do because I want to make sure that I have the results that I want, so I don't go back and then have to reiterate what I did. So now I just want a picture of the box, because when you're doing product photography, a picture of the box is always important so people know that you're getting boxes. And my suggestion is, when you buy something, make sure you always keep the box, because you never know if you're going to sell it, and you never know if you're going to sell it and you're going to want to resell it or anything like that. So I'm focusing, I'm setting that right in the middle. So I have to adjust the box to make it stand out properly. And I want to take a picture because my flash is set right to the top of that. So I want to take a picture of just that, and that's what I want to take. I'm going to adjust my focal points so I can get some of that reflection. Perfect. Now I'm going to do something with just the product on top of the box, so you can see in full aspect that this is definitely what you're getting. And make sure your item is cleaned off and positioned in the proper way so it looks fancy. When you're doing item photography, you have to always make the item look fancy, because no one wants to buy an ugly item. So I'm doing some vertical shots to really display what I'm doing here. That looks wicked. So I'm going to set this back a little bit so I can get more, take advantage of the background. And I'm going to get more of the mirror and this, the mirror aspect, getting a little bit closer and tighter. Now I'm going to pull off a cool shot. Wicked. Get a little bit closer, a little bit tighter. Wicked. So that's it for today of my product photography. Very simple shots, but it's enough for me to display something where people can look through the items on the said website that he wants to post on, and they can see, okay, this is something that I want to purchase. This is a hot item. It's a Dragon Ball. There's a lot of collectors out there that like these type things, so he's probably going to get some decent bucks for it. Alright, thanks for watching, and now we're going to go and edit. Alright, so this is me editing one of the 3 images that I'm going to use. At the end of the video, I'm going to show you the other 2 images that I edited, but I'm going to edit all of these images pretty much the same way. So this one image is going to be edited in this sequence, and then you can follow along and see how I edit it. Now I'm editing on the BenQ. I can go into Adobe sRGB to bring out a different type of color spacing, but I'm just going to do sRGB because sRGB basically does everything. That's pretty much what 99% online portfolios unless I was going to print it. Then I would go into Adobe sRGB. But so here we go. So this is on the loop deck, and I'm going to go into the develop module. And so this is what the photo looks like from the beginning, and I'm doing this on my loop deck, so I'm gonna edit in full screen just to kind of pull off what I want. So I'm in full screen, and because I have the loop deck, I can kind of adjust everything properly. So I'm gonna basically pull up the highlights in this to see what it's gonna be here. So it's a little bit too bright, so I'm gonna bring it down. And the shadows, I actually want to darken it because I want it to have that incandescent glow. Because as you can tell from before, I made it black, the background black, and with a glare to it, and it's gonna be kind of cool. So the blacks, I'm gonna bring my blacks down, kind of give it that black vibe. So bring my blacks down, as you can see. I'm gonna pull up the clarity. The clarity will pull up the rocks. But as you can see, with the clarity, you can see the dust and the markings of the glass. But I will pull that out later, because as a retoucher, you can do those things. And I'll show you how. So the contrast, I'm gonna bring that up, kind of make it a little bit more vibrant, a little bit more contrastier. I think it looks cool. So it has that glow to it, and dehaze just basically brings out a little bit more darkness. And it's exposed properly. I exposed it. I'm gonna bring out some more texture of that, so it makes it look kind of neat. Now the highlights, I think I might bring some more highlights to it, so it gives it that glowy look. See that? Like, that's cool. And then the temperature, I might raise the temperature just a slight to kind of counteract that, just a little bit, bringing the temperature up, kind of see it a little bit. And then the saturation, I'm gonna leave, but the vibrance, I'm gonna twist up just a little bit. And because I'm in full screen mode, you can kind of see little minor adjustments, but this is a RAW, by the way. I only shoot RAW. I don't shoot JPEG because I find I can bring out more details, and when it comes to editing, I can bring out a lot in RAW. So I usually shoot RAW. So this is pretty much how I wanted it to look edited. Now I'm going to go back into the mode and see how when I go into full screen mode, you can see all these specks and dust marks in it. And I don't want that to be there, so I'm going to go into this, and I'm going to go into this menu, which is the spot removal. And then with the spot removal, I'm going to basically make this size big, probably about that big. And I'm going to remove all these little spots, and I'm just going to pull that out completely, or just eliminate it slightly. And it pulls out these, you can see how the markings are slowly going away. Pull that, and then it kind of looks like it's just like a black background. Just for me doing these little adjustments, I'm taking out these things. And when I pull it into full view mode, you're going to see that this is has been adjusted. So I'll do this slightly. Add to it. But I don't want to do too much here because it'll screw up the reflection. So I actually didn't like that. So I'm going to do that, undo, edit, and then that's pretty much it. That's just what I'm going to leave it as, because it adds a little bit more texture there, and it looks kind of neat because it makes it look like the ball has that. I think I'm going to get rid of this part right here. There. Like that. So that's the final product, but I'm not quite done. I'm going to go to done on this. And then the exposure is a little bit on. It's the way I like it. I want to see if I can mess with the exposure, put it back in full screen, see if I can change anything. Darken it a little bit. I like the contrasty look. And I'll probably bring my highlights up again just to give that ball a little bit of a glow. See if that looks kind of neat. And then that's my final thing. So I like that so far. That's what I did with it. And then I'm going to go down. I'm not going to play with the histogram on this. I'm just going to leave it as is. Luminance, and I'm going to go 1 to 1. pretty clean image. I find that Sigma always usually has clean images, not very noisy. When I go 1:1, I'm still gonna bring up my luminance just a little bit. I'm gonna put my luminance on, let's say 35, just to smooth it out. I lose some detail when I do luminance like that, but it does smooth things out, and that's why I do crank the details, is so when I pull, I have to find that's a little bit too many luminance. I'm gonna bring it down to 25, and then see what it looks like. Yeah, that's better. I can still see detail. On my eye actually, a little bit more detail. Let's see. Let's go to clarity, bring that clarity up again. There, that's me bringing the clarity and bring the blacks a little bit down. So just to make it a little bit more milkier. That looks good to me. And then so after you do the luminance, you might have to do a little bit of tweaks, but that's pretty much it. And then you go to remove chromatic aberration. And then you go to profile, and then the profile should be your lens. If it's not, then you have to go and select your lens. Now, when you do the profile corrections, sometimes it lightens things, I find. It always lightens Sigma lenses. It always brings this, so I always end up bringing it down again. But it also brings out that vignetting, so that's that. I actually am going to go to the luminance of that Dragon Ball, and I'm going to, because it's product, so I don't want it to be too out of focus. So I know what it looks like in my mind. So I'm actually bringing the luminance up and adding some more white to the product, so it demonstrates that product. And then it kind of gives it that glow look, and it has that unique Dragon Ball look that it gets. So that's the luminance. The luminance is on the orange, is pretty much cranked all the way up. I want to bring it a little bit down, have a little bit kind of lavalish, because that looks really neat. And then the saturation, I'm gonna saturation, I think I'm going to just bring it up just a tad bit. Bring up some more oranges. And then the hue, I'm going to leave it to like the natural color. And the red, I'm going to bring out a little bit of the red, because that's what the Dragon Balls were. Just there we go. That's what I want it to look like. I think to me that looks beautiful. And I obtained that with the flash, and I obtained that with the black mirror. And I knew that this is the look that I was going to go for. Product detail at its finest. Now, that really stands out, and it makes that look really cool. Who wouldn't want to buy that? I know I would. So, that's pretty much the final project. Now, I'm going to just go to export, and I'm going to put this in my Shutterstock folder. JPEG, so you can use it, so my friend can use it on his website, and I'm doing everything else. Yeah, so I'm not gonna add a watermark, because I'm kind of steering away from watermark just from getting into Shutterstock, and after doing Shutterstock so long, I realized that watermarks kind of corrupt your images. So export, and that's the final image. So I'll go into full screen mode, and this is what the image looks like. I think that's a pretty dope image. I think that's awesome, and I think he'd be pretty happy to see that. And that's just how I obtain those looks. Now I'm going to go and edit the 3 other photos that I have, and I'm going to do it similar to this, and I'll post the other 3 images at the end so you can see what I've done. So everybody, this is the end of my editing tutorial, and this is how I did the product photography, and this is the end result. So this is have a good night, day, and evening. Ciao.